But we'll chit chat about the show. We'll talk as much as you want about it, and then we'll talk about some gay ass shit or something.
Sure, gay ass shit. Always fun to talk about.
God damn.
We're gonna make this show as gay as possible.
This is going to be your Pride episode.
Hell yeah. Welcome again to another episode of Zeo to Hero. On today's episode, we have a fantastic new guest. His name is going to be Clayton, and he's the lead. What is it? The lead animator, or
I would call myself creative director, producer / evil genius.
Well, let's just all bunch those together, and we'll just underneath the umbrella of Neon Lights. This is going to be interesting behind the scenes on that. And then we got Jim once again. How are y'all doing today? And hey, how about that? We're all in Texas too.
Yes, all in state.
Oh man. Well, how's it going over there?
Houston is Houston.
I'll agree.
A lot of cool things to do in Houston, but they're all in Houston.
Houston is good. We're kind of in that Texas winter right now, where it's like 60 degrees, and so everybody's got like sweaters and jackets and chains on their tires.
Yeah,
because it dropped below 80.
Yeah.
Texas winter. The second it drops below 80, second drops
70.
below 80, we start thinking about February. Like, it's getting cold, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
February all over again.
Well, let's. So the premise of tonight's episode is basically Clayton talking about his animated series of Neon Lights. It's how would you explain it?
So, in a nutshell, I always say it's kind of an homage to shows that I watched growing up as a kid. So, Power Rangers, Batman the Animated Series, X-Men. So all these shows I kind of watched growing up really influenced this new show, Neon Lights, but through an adult perspective, right? So we have, adult topics and more like conversations about things that are quote unquote real world, things that we face today, but it's in like a safe space of this kind of fictional setting. But yeah, it's definitely an homage to like Power Rangers, Super Sentai, and a lot of those, Saturday morning cartoon shows that you would get up and watch and sit.
Straight up Master Rider. One season of Master Rider, it's directly related to that.
Master Rider, Mystic Knights of Tir na Nog.
Oh man,
talking about it.
Yeah, nobody ever says it.
Deep cut.
Two teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills.
Jeez, yes.
Let's go with like the Deke. The UPN, like the complete Bandai Saban ripoffs. Like,
there we go. Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, they're not all wearing leather, right? So it can't be a complete knockoff ripoff of tattooed teenagers from Beverly Hills, right?
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
And foil weapons? Do you have foil weapons? If you don't, then you can't even reference it.
No foil weapons, but we do have other weapons in the show. But that is definitely something we can talk about at a later date.
Sweet.
Yeah. So it's been a passion project of mine for the last 2 years. I started working on it in December of 2019. So this is pre-COVID. Like, COVID was not a thing at this point, which is kind of hard to kind of imagine. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Back when we used to go to bars and stuff.
Right, when you used to be able to go out and do things.
Sitting drunk in your room alone.
That's true. Yeah.
So it just kind of started there with some rough sketches. I was watching one of my favorite movies, Blade Runner.
Yes.
Wait, which cut?
The final cut.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Because I back to back Blade Runner and then 2049.
2049 was amazing.
2049 is one of the best movies ever.
Dave Bautista killed in that role he had for 5 minutes. Oh my god.
Yeah, the 5 minutes he was on screen.
That was amazing, and he needs more work.
Yeah.
He does 100%.
But the rest of it was amazing too. But that scene stood out for me, and it always will.
So I had recently started getting back into Power Rangers around this time through the comic books, and I was watching Blade Runner, and I was just thinking, what would a Ranger team look like in a cyberpunk setting? And so I just started doodling some sketches, and then those sketches formed a story, and that story became a script, and that script became this animated series we've been working on for the last couple of years now.
That was a great thought process.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Billy and I got to watch the first couple episodes, first act, and
absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like watching it because it's more adult stuff told in a show. And with the recent rise of like Has-Been Hotel and stuff like that coming along, I really like this idea that we're getting more adult oriented animation. Makes any sense? Yeah, it tracks, right? Okay, cool. I like it because it gives me more stuff to think about that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And
yes,
not gonna lie to you, not gonna lie, like I was watching and I was like, I've read stuff like this recently. Yeah, yeah, ooh, yeah, okay. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
and so it kind of sucked me in, and I'm gonna keep watching it. Yeah,
no, definitely, yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, Act 1 that you watched was really like exposition heavy and focused on characters. Because I talked to one of the actors from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series and kind of picked their brain a little bit about, the process of working with an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
The best advice that this person gave me was that you need to let each character have their moment to shine. And so that's where this thought process came in of having a single episode devoted to each character so that we get to know them early on before we really dive into the action.
I like the idea you have going with it for like each character has her own like episode to start with. That was fantastic. And you don't get that very often. And each character has her own room to grow.
Yes.
And they all kind of lead back to itself. And I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. I like this. This was fun.
Yeah, and that's the only time that happens with the show. But essentially for anyone that's listening that hasn't gotten a chance to check it out, is that each episode focuses on a different character. And all of these kind of threads converge towards the end of the episode. Yeah. And so you're seeing the same events play out from different perspectives, and some things that you thought maybe one way, unfold totally different because now you're seeing it how another character interprets it.
Oh man.
So
yeah,
writing that out and trying to kind of figure out how did these people come together. Yeah. It was a challenge. I'm not going to lie. But
fair enough.
That actually brings me to my next deal. I love how when you barely get into it, you're not hitting the ground running. Like you give a little, like a half episode of like backstory of how they came to, and a little description throughout that episode of how they get these suits and how they transport around and how they are able to get back and what they're going to deal with out there.
Right. That was really, really important for me. Talking to my script editor and some other people about just kind of establishing the rules of the world very early on.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because no matter how far-fetched your fiction may be, if you establish it as like this is what it is, and you don't stray from that, then the audience will buy into that.
Yeah.
You'll be able to keep
very set rules and stuff, and with their set rules, it's gonna work. Yeah, as long as the rules are consistent.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that works for me. Yeah. There's some
was consistency.
There's a couple of shows where I watch where the rules get kind of loosey goosey at the end there, and I'm like, hold up. Hold on, let's take that back 3 steps. What happened?
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't want to write myself into a corner. So the entire story was mapped out before the scripts were written, And there was a couple times I had to change where I initially was going to go with the story because I was like, oh wait, these rules that I've established, I can't now bend them to go in the direction I wanted to with the overarching story. And so it was an interesting kind of path to navigate. But I appreciate that feedback. So yeah, we established pretty early on what this universe is like, and we stick with it. And it's been a challenge, but it's been a project that I've held near and dear to my heart.
And how did you like transfer like the story between the voice actors? Like how did you? Because I know during COVID everything was basically video chatting and stuff. How did that play out? You know.
So I had started talking to some of my actors before COVID happened and talked to them about the idea, and they were 100% on board with it. And so I'm like, okay, yes, let's do this. And then all of a sudden, the world just shuts down. And that was honestly, that was good for the project because it gave me time to just like dedicate all of my time to. I learned new skills and kind of honed and craft. But it was a giant question mark of will we be able to actually make this thing happen?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So in March, when kind of COVID first started coming out and everything started shutting down, I had already booked a space, a recording space for July. So as we started getting closer to the date, I think it was the day before or 2 days before, then new information started coming out about like how COVID is transmitted and the airborne nature of it.
Yeah.
And so we get a call from the recording space and they're like, I'm sorry, we have to cancel your contract.
Oh,
Do we
man.
get refunded?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good. And so then it was put on kind of this indefinite hold. But I wasn't gonna really take no for an answer. By this point, it had been 7 months worth of work, and I didn't want to see that just kind of go to waste because I know if I gave in to just kind of letting it go, I was never going to pick it back up.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So I started just kind of refining the script and the dialogue, and in December of 2020, we finally were able to get together. So I found a hotel that was actually right across the street from where I live. And they had a space that was big enough that we could all spread out. And all of the actors were facing a wall, so nobody was talking at each other. And everybody had temperature checks before they came in, because this was pre-vaccine.
Yeah.
Right.
There was hand sanitizer and everything at every station. And all the actors were more than 6 feet apart. So we took every safety precaution we could. We followed the Texas Film Commission COVID safety guidelines.
Okay.
Kind of planning.
Very nice. Yeah.
And so we have 9 lead actors, and they were all in the same space together. And then we had a couple minor roles that had some just dialogue here and there. Just kind of flavor text or to kind of help with the world building aspect of the show. And they sent their lines in remotely.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Now, I got to make the dumb joke really quick. Were they all just talking to the wall?
That's it.
I'm done. That was it. I'm done.
Well,
Check it out. Later, guys.
I did when I was kind of navigating through this was I was listening to, there's a voice director, because I'm a theater director. This is my first time working in the world of like voice directing. So Andrea Romano, who you don't know, you may not know the name, but you know her work. Avatar, Batman, Korra, like any animated show that you watched in the 90s or early 2000s, she was the voice director on.
I know what you're talking about. She did all that really cool stuff. Yeah.
She did everything.
She has a podcast?
She doesn't, but she was a guest on a podcast.
Okay.
Okay.
Where'd she get a podcast?
And the best advice she gave was that if you have the chance to get all of your voice actors in the same room at the same time, do it because they can feed off of each other and give a more natural line read.
Oh, that makes so much sense, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can agree with that entirely because
Yeah.
I did a big project with 14 people recently,
Mhm.
and that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
That was difficult,
Imagine.
to say the least. And they
Wow.
were all remotes. Everyone was everywhere else, and ooh man,
Oh,
And it
so
and remote can absolutely be done. It's kind of the standard of how it's done. Um, but you're also talking about voice actors who have been doing this for 15, 20 years who give, 8 different line reads of the same line, and so the voice director has options to play with,
yep.
right.
and a lot of my cast, they've done stage or film, but a lot of them were very new to voice acting as well. So I needed to get that natural sound.
Right.
Real quick, did you do all the voice work at once, like for the whole series so
Yes.
far?
So
Okay.
so it was done over 2 weekends. It was 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, and then Saturday, Sunday we came back.
Okay.
Each day was about 8 hours.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and we recorded all 49 episodes within those 4 days.
Wow.
And the thing is that we didn't have time to do a table read.
Oh,
So
y'all went just firing off the hip.
we
Yeah.
recorded the episode, and then we recorded it a second time, and then we did any line pickups that we needed to go back and re-record,
Mm.
um, because again we hadn't ever gotten together, and I didn't know if this was even going to work.
Well,
Um,
I'll tell you one thing. It came out pretty good for what
Yeah.
what you put into it. It's pretty solid. I like it
I
so
like
far.
it. Yeah. Now,
Thank you. I
now
appreciate that.
if I can ask another question here. Now, you say that the show is based on the premise of like real life situations and like a more cyberpunk thing. Now,
Mhm.
did you base those incidents off of like real life events that has happened to you or like any other voice actors or
Um, yes and no. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't self-insert as a writer and
Hmm.
say, just kind of write this glorified fan fiction about my life. I
right?
wanted to make sure I didn't do that, but I wanted to make sure I hit topics that I thought were relatable to everyone. So one of the big things that I had was I wanted to have a very diverse cast.
Okay.
That was
Right.
one of the big things that got me hooked on Power Rangers as a kid. Seeing black actors, Asian actors, all working together with white actors, and so my perspective as a cisgendered gay white male is very limited. And so
Fair.
when I talked to my actors, of color or from marginalized groups, I said, "This is what the character is. Tell me your perspective." And then I just shut up and listened.
Fair
And
enough.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said,
Solid advice right there.
yeah.
"How do you want me to portray this character? What are some things that you can tell me about your own personal experience that you want to see included?"
Because
Uh,
you won't
Yeah,
know, and if
uh,
you don't, you can't write it. Plain and simple. That's a
yeah.
fantastic idea. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I love like how you in like the episode you inserted like there was like a tension filled love interest at one point, and it brings it up in there, and I actually like that. And that's when the dog came in, and that's how I
Uh,
remember that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So it was just one of those things where my perspective is very limited. I think the best ideas come from collaboration.
yeah.
So I just had an honest conversation with all of my actors, and got their perspectives before I wrote a single word of dialogue.
fair. Very fair. Okay, I
I
have a
like
question
it.
for you, real quick.
Uh,
I got one. So there's a lot of robotics. Like,
yes.
was that like a was that original idea or did that come in later?
What do you mean? Can you elaborate some?
So like prosthetics, the whole prosthetic stuff, all
Yes.
that whatnot. Was that an original idea or was that fleshed out in a second take or something like that, or was it originally supposed to be there?
So, the cyberpunk aesthetic, there's very much like people will have prosthetic
Yeah.
limbs. And so it is a story beat. At the end of Act One, which is available now on YouTube, you can go check it out. our team gets caught in this sort of experiment gone wrong.
Mhm.
And not to dive too far into spoiler territory, but it deals with how their cybernetics are affected.
Okay.
Right.
Makes more
Oh.
sense. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Because I was like, okay, so you have you have prosthetic legs, prosthetic hands, prosthetic middle sections, prosthetic eyes. That was a cool
Right.
idea. That was really cool. That was a
Right.
sad story too. Oh my god! Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, really? Damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, no.
and that's kind of a recurring theme as far as with the prosthetics are
What, people
concerned.
being sad?
You'll see how they come into play much later on. As
Right.
well.
Okay. Stop there. I don't want any more spoilers because I
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really want to watch this because I know it's coming from you. You know the whole story, but I want to see this come to. I want to see this come to fruition.
Yeah. Definitely want to see how it plays out from
'Cause
what I've
I got a
seen.
buddy who will spoil stuff for me all the time, and I hate it.
Yeah,
And
I'm
that's
not
why
gonna
we lock.
I'm
Lock
not
him out of the house.
anything. Let's just I will tease it a little bit just to
Okay.
maybe entice you to keep watching.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll allow that.
Okay.
I swear.
Motion passes.
But yeah, like I was sitting there watching it. It reminded me of Knights of Sidonia. Have you ever seen that? Knights of Sidonia on Netflix.
Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, where they have a lot of prosthetic. Like one of the main characters lost her hand, and so prosthetic hand was mechanical. It was a really cool idea. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And it reminded me of that. And what was the other one? It reminded me of Ultra Carbon as well.
Okay, I saw like maybe the first 10 minutes of the first episode.
Well, it's a real cyberpunky like series,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting there and like the story beats. I'm like, this reminds me. Like listen to story beats and stuff. And I'm like, this reminds me a lot of Ultra Carbon, Night Sidonia, and a few other like cyberpunk esque series, like the Blade Runner series and stuff like that. So
Okay.
it was just hitting all the major hit, like it was hitting all the hits, and I was like, okay, all right, this is gonna be fun. Yeah.
Well, I love how cyberpunk as a genre is becoming just kind of slowly more and more mainstream. We're seeing more projects of it coming out. Some really good, some not so good. Looking at you, CD
Yeah.
Project Red video game.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I felt like it was an untapped setting for a Power Rangers style or Super Sentai style.
Watch the next series of Power Rangers is completely cyberpunk. Like, damn it, damn! I'm like, I'm done because we had Beast Morphers, which was kind of cyberpunkish.
Well, the other cyberpunk one would be like RPM.
Yeah, that
Right.
one was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
So RPM DNA runs heavily through Neon Lights because it's one of my favorite seasons of Power Rangers.
Same here. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's so good, and it proved that cars can work.
Yes.
They had
Yep.
the Tim's prior. Cars can work. But
Cars with googly eyes can work really, really
Yes.
well. And whales is flying ships. It totally works.
It does.
But where RPM had led more into like the Mad Max style dystopian future, I wanted something that was more, the Philip K. Dick, George Orwell, like Blade Runner style, iRobot setting.
Fair enough. There you go, man.
Now, the question that's gonna bug me is: do they get Zords later on, or is it like a work in art process?
So the word Zords is a copywritten word owned by Hasbro.
Oh, no way!
Giant robots.
Giant robots, yeah.
Zords.
Sentient suits.
Are there things that they acquire later on in the series? You will just have to keep watching to find out.
You tease.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm happy I can finally talk about it now that it's out.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for indulging me.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. Like this community is growing, and like we can bring in small projects like yours and get it like more exposure and everything else. And I love this community because it's very diverse and it's growing all the time, and more people are getting back into Power Rangers. And the more content that we can find and get out there, the better. Like it's all coming together, and quality content's getting made.
Right.
And I'm really proud of this.
That's key. There are so many great fan series, which I think kind of kept the brand alive in another in a different way, that have brought a lot out in the community itself, and that
Oh yes.
when for me personally, there are seasons that are unwatchable of Power Rangers.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I can agree with
Yes.
that.
They have not aged well. Granted, I'm not the target demographic for those seasons.
Yeah.
But for the older fans that are craving something in this genre, it's these fan series that have kept it going, in some aspects for them. Until you started getting things like the comic books that were more geared towards, us older fans.
Yeah. Oh, the comics were freaking great.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
I have sung I don't sing, but I have talked the praises of many of the
Boom.
comics.
Yeah.
Oh, I have talked the praises of Boom.
Oh
Yeah, absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
nailed it. Oh my goodness.
And I also I love like how like small time creators. I love just talking to them because I love to see the love, the passion, the blood, sweat, and tears they put into this, and to see it actually grow. And knowing, hey, I talked to Clayton, back when he was on YouTube. Now he's got a slot on ABC or something in the mornings. It's
Right.
always
Well,
cool.
and
All right, we're gonna come find you if you make it rich.
God.
This is a contract here.
verbal agreement, the gentleman's agreement.
Yes.
If the show continues, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to continue working on this show, I would love to use it as a pitch deck, to present to different agents and say, this is the idea that I have. These are the amount of subscribers or views that we have or hours watched.
Yeah.
I think there may be something here, if it catches on. But ultimately, for me, it's not about the amount of people that watch the show or follow us or subscribe. It's really about telling the story. As a theater director, I am first and foremost, I love telling stories.
Fair enough.
I love connecting with an audience, and I felt like there was a story that needed to be told here. Because when I was writing the show, in the height of COVID and the throes of everything that was going on in the summer of 2020, which feels like forever ago.
The fever dream of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like it was so long ago, but it was just last year. Whatever side of the aisle you were on, everybody had an opinion. And that's another reason I wanted to tell a story of, Act One focuses on perspective, different characters' perspective, because we all see things differently. And it doesn't invalidate your opinion. It's just not how I see it, because my perspective is different because I have different life experience, right?
Right.
And so for me, first and foremost, it was all about telling a good story. We'll tack the giant robots and the neon glowing suits on there.
Really bright spandex. It's not spandex. And giant piloted robots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That may or may not be coming soon.
Wink, 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 nudge, nudge. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did like that about Arc One because I watched Arc One and I love more like character driven stories than just large arc stories, and I love that. I'm having a semi hard time getting the Foundation right now because it's more of a bigger arc story than it is like a character driven one. Like it's good, but it's just hard to watch sometimes because I want to know more what's going on with the characters and how they're seeing the world revolve around them. And you nailed that. I love how you started off the series because I'm guessing it's going to continue on like that, right? Where you're going to see from their point of view still.
Yes.
No. So Act One is.
I'm done.
Act One is the only time that happens. But because this is it's a smaller scale show, Act Two kind of follows this very specific formula where the episodes are broken kind of into two parts.
Okay.
An intermission in the middle. So part one, it is these character driven scenes that are characters are paired up with each other, and you see that character development and those relationships develop.
I'm cool with that. I
Yeah.
love that kind of
And
stuff.
part two is so usually at intermission, that is going to be the henshin or transformation sequence right before intermission. And then
Okay.
part two of the episode is usually the go beat up the XYZ. And
Oh.
Well, you throw a Z in there. I don't know if I can deal with that. But XY, yeah,
Yeah.
knock it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I mean, in the first fight, basically, you do get to see how they do struggle with it because they
oh,
were all different ways. Yeah.
it is a struggle bus. You know, because these characters they don't start off necessarily liking each other, um,
Yes.
and they don't get along well.
Would you say
And
that they would be like animosity between them, or just like, hey,
um, I don't think there's necessarily animosity. It's more so of they're not used to working together with people as a team.
that's right.
You know, some of them are lone wolves that have relied on just themselves to get by in this setting that I've created. And so, you know, there are people that want to charge in there and get the finishing hit in, and that causes problems when there's other people that have the same mindset. And so you have people that accidentally punch each other or run into each other because
Yeah.
everyone's trying to be the
Team.
star.
Dang it. Teamwork makes your dream work, right?
It does. And so that's
Yeah.
one of the kind of underlying themes of Act Two was just learning to work together and cooperate with people.
It's not how yet. Calm down. Shh. Spoilers.
No, that's not a spoiler. No, that's not.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this because I want to see more of those. I love character interactions.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of how the Russos handle like Avengers and stuff, where they have a lot of character interactions and stuff. And you get to see how characters interact with each
Yeah.
other. And so you got
Yeah.
49 episodes of that coming up. I'm looking forward to this because I want to see this because
Yeah.
I love characters.
Well, and I think you definitely hit the nail on the head with one of the inspirations being the Russos, and I think kind of Marvel as a whole, that same format of you have these individual movies that focus on characters, and then you have the big team up, Avengers movie, right? But they allowed their characters time to breathe
Oh yes.
before you dive into it. So,
not like the first iteration of Justice League.
well, we're not going to go there because I'm still a little salty.
Hey, the Snyder Cut was a lot more fun.
Oh, fantastic! I'm
man,
just
that
glad that I, went to that midnight showing of Justice League, and
I feel for your soul. I'm sorry. Like I watched it like a couple of days after it came out. I watched it and I was like, "What?"
yeah,
Like it was kind of funny here and there, but that's about it. That was it. Like I
Yeah.
liked Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. That was amazing, and you screwed it up.
uh-huh.
I'm mad about this. I was more mad about that than anything else. Like, okay, Cyborg being a terror. Like, I was sad, so sad. But I'm really mad because he ruined the Batman movie we could have had. We could have had that Batman movie, and he ruined it. He ruined it.
I only saw the Snyder cut. I don't know. I had to sit through 4 hours. I was like, oh man, what is going on?
Hey, there's act scenes where you can get up, walk around, and cry a little bit because you just got emotionally damaged, and then you go back and keep watching.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Like that was brutal.
Yeah.
Yep. Are you okay? No.
Nope. Nope.
So, although we're not getting the Ben Affleck Batman movie, the Robert Pattinson The Batman.
That looks amazing. I'm looking forward to that so hard.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my okay, so the first scene you see for that one, not the first scene, but the first trailer that came out like what, 2 years ago?
The fandom
Oh my goodness.
The first fandom teaser?
I think so. Yeah, the very first one, he just beats down that dude and just keeps going. Oh my god, that was insane! I stopped everything I was doing and just rewatched it. I was like, I gotta watch this again. That was bananas.
Well, what was crazy for me is that they had only shot like 30% of the movie by the time they cut that trailer.
What?
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, and so they hadn't finished, shooting at all, and and so the fact that we got that much awesome stuff out of just 30% of the movie
Yeah.
being shot, I mean, I
Go
cannot,
in there prepared to have your head blown off.
Yes.
No, let me rephrase that. Or let me phrase that. Prepare to go in there and have your explode,
yeah, mind
Yeah.
explode.
like in the Kingsman explode, like
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
the color.
That the question is though, are you like Marvel or DC, or do you have like your favorite Marvels and your favorite DCs?
All right, so I always get a little, no offense, I always get a little irritated by that question because why can't you be both?
There you go.
Right?
See,
You know,
yeah,
I think both properties do really solid work in certain things. I think Marvel hits it out of the park, obviously, with their live action films.
Well, fair enough. Yeah,
DC and their animation is incredible. DC's
they're
doing some incredible stuff with animated series, and as much as I don't particularly care for the CW shows, like they
okay.
have an audience.
yeah they do.
Yeah.
You know,
I was part of the audience for there for a little bit too. I really liked the Flash till like season 4 and
right?
the
That's
Arrow
when I
till
stopped
season
watching.
5, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
That's when I stopped watching. But
Yeah.
they're all, they each do respective things very well. Um,
I thoroughly enjoyed Harley Quinn. Plain and
yes,
simple, that was
Mhm.
fantastic.
Harley Quinn is
I
incredible.
laughed so
Um,
hard.
And I loved that they teased that we're gonna get the Ivy Harley relationship at the end
I
of
want that. It was great in the comics. I want to see more of it.
Mhm.
And I love Alan Tudyk as Clayface and the Joker.
Yes.
He double dutied for that, and it was great. Alan
Um,
Tudyk can do no wrong.
he can.
Oh, I love that.
And also, even indie properties. I'm glad that we're starting to get some indie properties into like mainstream, like Lock and
Resident Alien. Sorry, Alan Tudyk, other show, Resident Alien. Watch it. It's great.
Resident Alien.
Yes, he's in
Uh,
it. He's the lead star in it. It's hilarious. Okay, indie properties. Keep going.
so yeah, Lock and Key got its season on Netflix. I don't know if either of you have seen that.
I've seen the first couple episodes of it. It was a little
Wow.
weird, but it's on my to continue to watch list.
What's
And
it called? Lock and Key?
yeah,
Lock and Key.
yeah.
I'll have to
And,
keep an eye out.
Um, there's one. It's one of my favorite comics. The adaptation was terrible. But Why the Last Man got a Hulu adaptation. They've already
Uh,
canceled it. It's
oh
not going
man,
to get a season 2.
it,
Uh,
it it was on my to watch list. I actually I knew about the comics, and I saw the trailer for it. I was like, oh, this is really like I knew the comics existed. I'm like, oh, this could be fun.
mhm.
And then I just haven't watched it yet.
It
And
was just
so
the TV show. There was so many behind the scenes problems that
okay.
they recast the lead male like after they had filmed it and
What?
something. Yeah, I know there was a recasting issues and refilming. Yeah, so it just didn't work for me. But Lock and Key is one of my favorites. It's written by Joe Hill, which is Stephen King's son. So that might.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, it's one of my favorite properties. So yeah, DC, Marvel, Indies. If it's a good story, I'm game. I'm here for it.
Fair enough. Umbrella Academy. That
Ah.
that
Yeah, that's another great example of an indie that is
Mhm.
translated well
Yeah.
and started to find an audience.
oh my
Actually
God.
got me into it. I watched the first episode. I was like, oh, this is actually really good.
Hazel
Wow.
is my spirit animal. Hazel, I love Hazel so much.
Oh, the
Like,
bird watching lady? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Hazel's the guy with the beard.
Wait, guy with the
The
oh, that guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hazel.
Okay.
Hazel. I love Hazel. He's so like just anti what he's just like. If I get paid, I'll work. If I don't get paid, I want to go have donuts. And I'm like, done. I win. This guy's a spirit animal. This guy's
Yeah.
great, and he has some of the best lines in the whole series. And that's all I'm gonna say. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend it.
Mhm. It's definitely a really good one. I need to watch season 2. But I mean,
It's fun.
you look at like Boom Studios with what they did with Rangers. Like Boom is an indie
Was
label, right?
yeah.
And they still produce like a lot of like smaller, low key like comics.
hmm
And Rangers being like probably one of their biggest.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing that took him out of like that's the thing that took him out of the indie market kind of thing. It makes any sense. It bolstered them a lot,
Yeah,
and they knocked it the park with it. I think who was, dang it, because I remember it was Power Rangers came to them about it because they had someone who worked within the show or something like that come to do art or storyboard stuff for another show. It was a really cool, like, how it happened.
Okay.
And what was it? It was Saban at the time was like, hey, can you guys make like a run? And I think it was Saban. Like, whoever owned it at the time was like, can you guys just make like a couple issues run, see how it goes? And they nailed it. And they just kept going with it.
Yeah.
Because, then we got year 1, and then year 2, the Go-Go series. Oh, my God,
Mhm. Yeah, Kyle Higgins did the series. I think up until Shattered Grid was his last big arc.
yeah. And then he went on to do, I believe, Radiant Black.
Okay.
Because Radiant Black is, I recommend it. I've recommended it multiple times on the show already. Read it. I'm not gonna spoil it. Just read it.
Yeah.
Read the first comic. If you don't like it, go to hell. Read the second comic if you don't like it. I get it. Give comics more than one comic to figure it out.
Yeah, so it's just the Ranger comics were what got me back into the show, honestly.
And to actually see some of the Rangers from the comics get produced into the toy line is actually really cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want Omega Rangers so bad. I want them.
Yeah.
They are so cool.
They're so I'm not sure if you have played the Renegade Studios tabletop game.
No.
No, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting that for Christmas at some point.
Okay. Well, one of the newest expansions coming out has the Omega Rangers and the Solar Ranger, Solar Purple, in it. So,
oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, I'm looking forward to this. I know that someone's looking for me for Christmas for a tabletop game because she really, really wants to get me in the tabletop games.
Ah,
mm-hmm.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fun little co-op game. But yeah, when I was reading through the comics, I was like, I don't know who half these characters are because I quit watching the show during Turbo.
Yeah. Who the hell's Kimberly?
Come on now, you can't do that.
But like TJ, Cassie, Andros, Ashley, like I didn't know anybody from In Space, Carlos, and beyond. And so when these
you left at like the best season too. In Space was the best like Zordon-esque season.
Oh, I thought you said you meant Turbo.
Oh,
hold on.
I was about to come through the screen.
Yeah, I was like, you left it In Space, and In Space was
I left before
a masterclass.
Thank you very much. In Space. So when I started reading the comics, and I needed to go back and watch these seasons, and to figure out who these characters were, and some of these seasons, even today, like as an adult viewer, really hold up.
Yeah.
In Space being one of them. In
Space was
excellent.
fantastic.
Yeah. Excellent characters, and once I kind of learned the backstory on these seasons as well, like it started to make a little more sense. So like In Space and RPM both, I love both of those seasons. Both of those were about to cancel the brand. Like
that was the last hurrah.
And so like when they're under the threat of cancellation and they're like, let's do whatever we want.
There you go.
Good stuff out of it.
Did you watch Jungle Fury by any chance?
That is in my top 5 favorite seasons.
Yeah, dang. All right.
There we go, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And it also has the best theme song, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty solid theme song. Yeah.
It's
pretty
solid. 2000s emo kid that still lives inside of me.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. It was a pretty solid song. Yeah, pretty solid. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely in my top 5 favorite seasons.
I want the Wolf Ranger. I want one so bad. If they ever make a Lightning collection figure for him,
they 100% will.
Yeah,
eventually,
yeah, they have to.
No, okay. Let me guess. Did you ever watch the video of Leo ripping his shirt off? Like, ripping his shirt off. You're like, who is that?
No. So I didn't know about Leo or Lost Galaxy until after I got past In Space. Watched Lost Galaxy, and yeah, that was a nice little view for. Yeah.
Ripped. And then you got Cole the next season. And you're like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? The quality of Ranger just dropped. What happened?
Lightspeed Rescue.
Lightspeed Rescue.
Was that the next? Because I have
Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed, then Wild Force. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
Carter was a badass. He came right after another badass, and then it went to not a badass.
I could
And then it went
not sit through Lightspeed Rescue. I got about 12 episodes in, 13 episodes. The first the Titanium Ranger story arc.
yeah.
Oh,
got
right.
there, and I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling this season.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
all good. Everyone can have their season they don't like. I don't like Operation Overdrive. I just
That's my
can't get into it.
That is my favorite season. That is my number one favorite.
Oh, it's terrible. I'm sorry.
Oh, there's beef now.
No longer best friends. No, they had that the great Monster Ranger. That was fun.
Oh,
It was
yes.
a lot of fun. And the twist for the Red Ranger being a robot, that was interesting. I'll give him that. I was like, okay, cool idea, terrible execution. And the butler, the guy who did the butler, fantastic. And what's his name? The guy who's in like SPD, who's in Ninja Steel, the guy with the eyebrows.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, he was the Yeti in Operation Overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's been in a while. Oh my goodness, he's been putting the work in.
Yeah,
he's putting the work in for a little while.
There were just some seasons like I gave it a shot. I just couldn't get into. It just wasn't for me. But it definitely not going to yuck someone's yum if it's
fair enough, yeah.
Right.
Seasons.
Have you been keeping up with the recent season?
I've not. Not. All of my free time is spent working on Neon Lights.
Fair enough.
So I have not had time to watch anything. Gosh, I haven't seen like the Neo Saban era, like Samurai, Ninja Steel. I kind of just choose.
Watch Dino Fury or Dino Charge season 1. That's a good season.
Yes.
Season 2, take with a huge grain of salt.
Okay.
And then watch Beast Morphers and Dino Fury. That's all you got to watch. You're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rest of them are hit and miss. Like there's some fans for them, but they're really hit and miss. And watch them at your own pace.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I have to do. I find that I'll put them on as like background noise while I'm working. But if it's a good season, like then I start to get a little interested, and I stop working and I start paying attention to what's happening on the screen. So I gotta usually pick something I've already seen before.
Or I'm in the same boat. Like my random noise sound is Simpsons, so I just play that in the background.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen every episode a few times, so it's like I know what's going to happen. So it's just my background noise now. I'm like, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's how mine is too. I usually have Family Guy or American Dad in the back.
I know we are not creative at all.
Nah.
We know we are.
Oh,
Oh man. Okay, I do have one technical question for you. So, what are you using to do your illustrations with? You mind me asking?
What do you mean? So,
like, what's your tech process?
Oh, okay. So the process for creating an episode, all of the we have two types of illustrations. So we have puppets and we have static shots.
Okay.
So the puppets are any of the models that move. Any that turn their head or blink or change point fingers so those are called puppets, and those illustrations are composed of anywhere between 150 to 300 different tiny illustrations.
Okay.
Wow.
So I have I've commissioned a wonderful artist named Ashmish who has redesigned. He kind of upgraded all of our puppet art.
Okay.
And then the other artist, Eric Delgado, who did all of the facial art. So one artist did the face, another artist did the body. But the way that the kind of the workflow is that my wonderful, wonderful sound engineer, his name is Robert McNeil. I could not do this show without him. He takes the raw audio and he cleans it up and then adds the sound effects or does like Foley sounds for it. Any of the sounds that I need, and he'll send me sections of it every day for me to either thumbs up or give notes and feedback on.
Yeah. Once
he does all that, he uploads that. I put it into Adobe Character Animator is what I use.
Okay.
And so
Don't say like you know what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about.
I know. I got the gist of it.
So Animate everything in Character Animator, and I really like the program. It's not user friendly.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's got a steep learning curve, but the thing that really attracted me to it was that these puppet models, you can set them to lip sync what
Oh,
the
that's
audio
cool.
track is. And so it registers all of the different sounds. It has like 12 different sounds it can recognize. And
Okay.
so there are 12 different mouth illustrations. And so when it hears that sound, then it makes that mouth shake.
That's really cool.
Ooh.
Okay, I
So,
was wondering how you did that. I was like, 'cause I don't know enough about illustration, like and animation.
Yeah.
I really don't. All I know, like what I've built figure out, is from like VisiPop and like their work on stuff and like their Twitter things, because
yeah.
they're pretty open about Twitter and what they do. So
Mhm.
I like it's a lot of work, and I'm like every time I
Yes.
see it, I get blown away. And I do audio work, so I know how much work goes into that. But I
Uh-huh.
was wondering what your process was on the other end, like your
Yeah.
animation process.
So after we do the animations, then I put it into After Effects, which
Okay,
lets me do like a lot of compositing and layering different animations on top of each other. Then after it's in After Effects, I put it in Premiere Pro and take all of the parts together to form the episode. And then I make the episode twice. I make one episode without any underscore or music,
okay.
and
Oh,
then I make the episode again with all the underscore music. If I,
Hmm.
if I put the music in and I can't hear the actors because it's too loud, then I can
Okay.
adjust it.
So you're
Yes.
not doing the Christopher Nolan thing where the music gets way too loud and it's
I'm trying not to, but sometimes it, because the episodes play different on your device, right? So it's going
Mhm.
to sound different on your phone versus
oh,
on your computer.
Yeah,
So I try to keep it as balanced as I
fair
can.
enough. Let me
But
ask you this
it,
because you did say something about the puppets.
uh
The Okay, so my question for the puppets, because I'm legitimately curious about this because I know I'm a huge nerd. Are the puppets modular? Like you can like all the pieces, or like you can interchange pieces, like the hand pieces and stuff. Like you can like different hands, or
Yes.
like
So, well,
okay,
some of the models have like 5 or 6 different hand drawings, and
okay,
then I attach those hands to specific buttons called triggers. So when I
okay,
press, for example, if I press 1, the hand will be open. If I press 2, the hand will be closed. If I press 3, it'll point.
okay,
Um,
okay.
oh
but
wow.
they all have to be illustrated.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Like, but you can just switch them out when you need to with the button, the triggers. Okay, that's really cool.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
was
Yeah.
legitimately curious about that because, like, I watch some of the stuff on Twitter and like a few things. I'm curious about it. My partner does her artwork and stuff and all this crazy nonsense, and I don't understand that because I'm not. It's
sure.
not my cup of tea, and I want to ask you your ideas and your thing because I've heard from her how she does it. And I was like, how do you do
Right.
it? I'm just
And
curious.
from start to finish, it'll take me about 2 weeks to complete an episode if I'm working on it,
Oh wow.
consistently.
And
Takes
where do you, how did you get the music to play? Like the music. How did you have somebody make it for you, or did you like?
a little bit of both. So I have a composer. Her name is Ashley Jana.
Okay.
She composed 7 songs for us, and all of those are available on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you get your
I
music.
found them on the iTunes. I was listening to them, and yeah,
Uh-huh.
cool.
Oh,
So
okay.
she composed those, and then I co-wrote some of the lyrics on those songs. And then some of it is royalty-free music.
Mm,
Oh, okay.
okay.
So it was very important that I not get dinged with any like copyright infringement. So I had,
Same kind of music I use for you, Billy. It's fine.
Yes, I know.
Royalty free music.
yep. So I pay an annual subscription rate to have access to a royalty-free stock library. Um, and yeah, it's kind of like the first Halloween movie, right? The first Halloween movie was not scary until they added the music.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of like I was actually just watching the movies that made us. They did an episode on it, and they talked about
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
that's
I really
still
need to watch more of those. Those are fantastic. Like,
yeah.
like
it is, and
documentaries.
they had talked about in the screening room like it was not scary until they started coming up with like the theme song and adding the music, and music plays so much a part of the storytelling process, and so
Well, Yeah, like heck, look at Jurassic Park. Like if
Mhm.
there's no music in that, it's not all
Yeah.
inspiring. That moment you first time you see the dinosaurs, it's
Seen
not
that,
all
have you
inspiring.
seen that video of Jurassic Park where they have like the bad harmonica playing over that person?
No, no, I
No, I
haven't
gotta
seen
see
this.
this. I gotta see this. Yeah.
Okay, this is on my to look list. I know the one with the cat where he's like, oh my god, he pulls his sunglasses down, and like zooms out. It's like a cat being held up. It goes meow.
Uh, no, the one with the harmonica is the best because it perfectly captures how like music can change the tone of something. So
Um, if
yeah,
you find it real quick, you can send it to the group chat. We can look at it.
I'm
Yeah,
sending it right now. I've got
dude,
it
I
right
gotta
here.
see this.
Uh, so yeah, it's fine. It was about finding like the right song for the right moment. So I have playlists that are just like sad songs and happy songs. So I just got to find
Well,
which
Yeah,
one
I
I
gotta.
well,
put
you
in.
nailed. You hit it out of the park because, like, when I first heard the music, I was like sitting, I was like jamming to. It. I was like, I had to rewind it a couple times. Like, man, this is good.
Yeah, the
Thank
Really
intro.
good.
The
Yeah.
harmonic. Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm laughing like an idiot over here. It's in the chat inside the window if you want to see it.
Yeah, I don't
Click
know
it
if
and
it's
yeah.
gonna alter anything. Should it
No, no,
shouldn't?
it won't. I just did. It's fine. You should be fine. But yeah, yeah, no, your music person killed it. Did a
Thank you,
great job,
thank you,
and
thank
I like the music because I went through and I found it on the Apple Music. I was just listening to it. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is a banger. Yeah, okay, cool. All
you,
right,
thank you, thank you, thank you.
fair enough. Yeah, like your entire like production team has just because I'm guessing isn't everyone's like first project, but I'm pretty sure it's the starting of projects for a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
Like this is like the first, second project, and I know inexperience is a thing, and like you guys are just killing it. Like you guys are doing a great job,
Sorry,
and
I
so
just
I
saw it
like
right
it so
now.
far.
God dang it! Oh damn, that's great.
Uh,
That totally makes your point. Yeah, music is a big key to it. Yeah.
well, and that's the thing is like for the longest time I was a lone wolf on this project, and it was killing me. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I had no composer. I was gonna record all the songs myself. Like I did the original puppets, and they looked okay. They were definitely rough, and so I needed help to get it to the quality I wanted it to be at. Um, so we had delay after delay, and we were actually a week back in May of 2021. We were a week from release, and I had 9 episodes ready to go, and
Mhm.
I pulled the plug. And it was the hardest thing I had to do in regards to the project. I said, you know what, it's not ready, and I am not in a mental health headspace because I was started in the process of going through a divorce, and my sister had
Mm.
cancer, and it was like I
Oh
am not
wow.
ready. Like
Fair
I am
enough,
not
man.
ready.
Like I completely understand exactly where you're coming from with that. I completely understand, and you know, the decision to pull the plug on a project, your passion project, is hard, and I get it. And you made the right call. Like it can't like the stuff that's coming out so far. I like it. I'm enjoying it,
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
you also got to be in the headspace to be able, get it out there and keep nurturing it. And if you don't have it, you just get it out there. It's not gonna.
Right.
It's just gonna die
Right.
and no one will ever know about it. And sir, you are knocking on the park, and I enjoyed the first
Yeah.
act. I'm ready for act two. I'm gonna watch it, and we'll be putting up on the website. We'll be posting it everywhere every time an episode drops out because I'm a huge nerd. Like to do things like posting stuff to the Facebook.
Well, I appreciate your support. It has been awesome talking to you guys about this stuff, and thank you for taking an interest in the show.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a banger, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you,
Really am.
you guys.
Thanks again for listening to our latest episode of Zero to Hero. Clayton has been a fantastic guest with giving his insight and background of Neon Lights. Thanks again, Clayton. Any last words?
Yeah, again, thank you so much for having me, guys. So
Plug
Neon
it.
Lights,
Plug it.
yeah, Neon Lights premieres officially with Act Two on December 1st of 2021. So depending on when you're listening to this, it may be available now. You can check us out on our Instagram at NEONLIGHTSCAST, or you can go to solo.to/neonlights, and you can find links to all of our socials, including our official soundtrack, our YouTube channel, our Instagram, and I'm sure we'll have several things posting up there within the coming weeks and months.
Actually, that's how I found your Apple Music stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Found it there. That's where I found it at.
Well, there.
So yeah, you do a good job, Dan.
Thank you. So yeah, be sure to check us out, and we would love to hear from you in the comment sections.
Sweet. Any last words, Jim?
Normal stuff. Headset radio if you're looking to get your project off the ground, and I'm pretty sure this episode's coming out on a Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, Friday, because everything drops on Fridays. Because I don't know who drops it. I don't know who puts it up. I know when it comes out. Basic stuff. I hope everyone enjoys their weekend, kind of thing, and have a nice time out there.
Yeah. And then always remember, check us out on zeotohero.com or Facebook page Zero to Hero, and check us out on Spotify. Definitely having a fun time tonight. And remember, let's get animated. That was a horrible one. My bad. I had to stick with it.
No, that was good. That was good.
All right, let's do this. I'm trying to think of a new way to do an intro.
Oh yeah, you gonna try to rap it?
No, I can't. I can't do that.
I would say if you're doing video, you can do an interpretive dance.
Oh my God! I was just doing that today at work. I was like doing a dance. I was like, I don't want to do the work today.
I know that dance.